I wanted to take a few minutes and actually walk through the expectations for the final project. Um, I figured this would be important to help you know where to go, where the resources are located, what resources are available, and then just kind of to articulate in more detail what the expectations are for the final project and for the mid. So from within Blackboard, if you go under Assignments and Final Project Resources, you will find a list of all the different resources. So here you'll see there's a final project scenario document. In this document, I start off with a scenario, and it's just a fake scenario kind of use case to help you understand what you're to be building and kind of give you a direct motivation of if this was a business scenario and you were working at a job, this is something that your boss or employer may come and ask you to do. The requirements for the application. So I lay out what the expectations are in that case. Some of these are expectations or requirements that we have not covered yet in lectures, so don't be too overwhelmed by that. We will be getting to them as we continue through the class, but these are the overall expectations. We have some data modeling outlines, so these are just basic outlines so that you have an idea of what the data models should look like for your application. So we have customers, products, order items, orders, and these mimic very similar to what you'll see in the AdventureWorks LT database. And then there's a list of resources. We have the AdventureWorks database itself, which is also linked within Blackboard, and then I will be publishing a prototype of this application soon so that you can download it and see a functioning version of the application. No code, but just the actual working application. And that application will act as a baseline so that you understand what you're to be building. That baseline application is there solely for the purpose of saying, if you can build it to this level, and you simply just mimic or copy what I've developed, you will earn a C in the course. So I'm looking for you for some creativity, some originality, and for you to kind of apply functionality to the application how you see fit and trying to explore the .NET framework in some ways. All right, switching over, we have the Microsoft SQL Server Express and tools. So if you click here, you'll actually be brought to the download page for SQL Server 2012. This is here for you to be able to download and install SQL Server. You'll need that for the final project in order to do the database work. Most people are running 64-bit Windows systems, so you'll want to download the 64-bit one with and you'll want to choose Express with tools, and that will give you Microsoft SQL Server Express and the database management tools. If you're running a 32-bit version and you know that, then you'll want to obviously drop down here and choose the SQL Express with tools for the 32-bit version. If you're not sure which version you're running, the easiest way to find it is if you're on a Windows 8 or Windows 10 machine, go down to the Start menu and right-click and go to System, and that will pop up the system information, and you'll see here under System Type it'll say 64-bit. If you're on a Windows 7 machine, then you'll want to try to find the My Computer or computer icon. And on Windows 8 and 10 this is this PC, and you'll want to right click and choose Properties, and that'll bring you up to the same point. So that is where you'll find out which operating system you are running. Further on down, you'll see there's an AdventureWorks LT 2012 script download. So you will want to go to that page and actually download the zip package that includes the script for AdventureWorks, and that's where you'll get that. And then I have a full video that is the walkthrough for AdventureWorks, and it walks you through how to download SQL Server and install it, how to set up AdventureWorks LT using the script download. So check out that video if you need those steps to get that in place. So once you have all of this in place, that's when you can start developing your project. Now my recommendation is that you start out with a new project for the final. If you've been following along and building along with me through the video lectures, that's great, but the project we're building in the lecture is not the same as the final project. The code that we're using or the approaches that we're using, the different tooling and stuff that we're walking through and the ways that you do the development will be similar, and you'll be able to apply those concepts, but verbatim we're not building the final project in the video lecture. So you'll want to start to deviate and start building a new project. And my recommendation is for you to go through and actually start a new Windows Form application, and you may want to call it something like 16SS Final Project. And you want to make sure that this option for add to source control is checked, and hit OK. and this will go through and set up a new Windows Form app. It'll ask you which type of source control you want. Make sure you're choosing Git, because that's the source control repository that we're using, and hit OK. And once everything is set up, you'll want to go underneath your solution, and you'll want to set up a class library project, just as we did in the last set of lectures. So you want to go Add, New Project, and from here you'll want to choose a class library, and you may want to call it something like 16ss final project.business, and hit OK. And you'll have that class library project in place now. Remember to add your references, and you'll also want to right click on your solution and do a commit for the first time, and set this up as my first commit with all of the projects in place. Save to those, and then you'll want to go through and set up your sync. So you'll have to then go out to the UC GitHub, create your repository out there, copy that URL and paste it in here, and hit publish for the first time, and that will push up your final project to GitHub, and then that way you'll have a remote copy of your final project available to you up there. So if you need to pull any changes down or anything like that, or if you're needing support, as always, that'll be the place. Now that actually brings up a good point. While this is a final project, and I am expecting each one of you to develop your own final projects, I'm okay with you collaborating with one another if you're running into technical difficulties. As always, posting questions to the Slack channel is the best way to do that. Then I or another classmate can answer those questions. But I am looking for originality and unique projects. I've had in the past where students have come and they've actually collaborated, quote unquote, but they've turned around and ended up actually submitting the same project. I am not okay with that. I am looking for originality in each project, and there are plenty of tools out there where I can take 2 folders worth of projects and I can tell it to find me any differences, and if I compare 2 projects and they both come back with the exact same lines of code, then they are not different projects. So I just want to make that clear. So I am looking for originality. I don't mind collaborating and working through challenges together and asking questions of one another, but I am not looking for 2 people to be submitting the same project. All right. So this is kind of your starting point. You'll need to go through and we'll build out our forms and do all of that as it was outlined in the project. We will be working toward connecting to a SQL database, so you'll want to make sure you have those pieces in place as well. My expectations for the midterm are simply that you will have the project stood up, just as I demonstrated. I'm looking for there to be a class library with all of the model classes built for the database tables, and that'll be part of the lecture for this week, so you should have just seen that. So you'll need to go through and build all those tables into models. I'm looking for the main form with menu items for different regions of the app, those regions being customers, products, and sales orders. And then I would like you to design a data entry screen for each one of those regions. So a screen that at least allows me to create a customer, create a product, create a sales order. So that is my minimum expectation for the midterm. So as always, if you have questions around the final project or the midterm, feel free to reach out to me on Slack in the public channel. That is the best place, and that way if your question is not personal in any nature, it may answer questions for other students as well.